You're a quantity surveyor.
Yes.
The issues of housing, since you brought it up, I thought we would stay with that. Housing, construction, and all of that. All of these things have their challenges. For instance, the Land Use Act. It's still a problem that a lot of people talked about. We need to repeal the Land Use Act, remove the Land Use Act, and bring up another legislation so that it helps even with the area of providing housing. Because even if a developer comes in, how would he work? So the question I wanted to ask, do we have the infrastructure to carry the rebasing, especially in the area of construction? Do we have the infrastructure on ground to move?
I would say that, look, the issue is not even about developing estates or infrastructure. The Land Use Act has its own challenges, where somebody who is holding the land in trust for the public, decides who and how to give it to. Recently, the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory, is reviewing its Conveyancing Act. And the act they're using now was enacted in 1881, inherited from the colonial masters.
Wow. The one in Abuja.
Yes. So that has been reviewed now.
1881.
1881, yes. And you can see huge challenges. The land is held in trust by, say, a governor or the minister of FCT. And the process of acquiring land is so cumbersome, that it discourages. I think
some states are improving on that.
Some states are improving, but very few, and very slowly too. There's a need to free land, to give it value, to make landowners also enjoy the benefit of that and use as a collateral for investments. So when that happens, probably we will have people interested in developing estates, and huge amounts of money can come locally and offshore, and probably we can have more houses. But even then, like I said, if you don't grow the economy, repayment becomes a challenge.
Yeah. But the aspect of local capacity for the skilled workforce, that's a challenge. You talked about one of the ways that we can encourage them is by patronage.
Yes.
But look at the quality of local contractors. They need to do something about it. When you give a local contractor, some of them, you give them some jobs, they don't stick to the standards. And when people see that, nobody wants to go back there. So who is addressing that? I mean, is your association looking into this kind of matters, for instance?
We do. We are very concerned about that. For the private, developer, the major challenge is the issue of enforcement of standards, which is weak from the government or whichever authority is responsible for that is. On the government side, that's public sector construction, the problem is until we address the issue of graft, until we address the issue of corruption, the quality of products will continue to be low because people compromise so much, by not putting all that is necessary, all that is required in terms of the money paid for the job, because somebody is sharing part of it. If we address corruption, that aspect will be addressed. If we strengthen the supervisory mechanism, or rather regulatory mechanism for standards, that will also be fine. Countries that are serious have people that go to check projects as they go on in locations and ensure that they conform to standards laid down. Here, nobody does that.
Go ahead.
Apart from the professionals engaged on the job, there's a section of, say, for instance, Lagos State or Development or FCDA that is responsible for ensuring conformity of standards. And I think that is important, that is strengthened, and that is also it becomes effective.
Speaking about professionals and then those artisans again, do you insist, your association now, that any local contractor should have a certain percentage of local participation before you get all those artisans from neighboring areas?
You see, the issue of, you can't enforce that. because a bricklayer will have to be a bricklayer. A tiler will have to be a tiler.
So it's a skill that is top.
You have to acquire the skill first. You know, we have to develop the capacity to give those skills. We have so many unengaged youth on our streets that we can channel towards that, show them this trade, and make sure that they can earn money and live.
Are they responding to that? Is the technical.
I don't know if there's anything deliberate apart from
trainings,
some little efforts in some locations here and there, but there's no deliberate effort to train this kind of manpower in the country now.
You've mentioned consistently developing or building the economy, improving the economy. Now, there are those who will say that that's happening now, but when you say we need to build the economy, what exactly are you implying?
Engage our internal capacities. You see, when you say you have a huge economy, like what we have now, the largest in Africa, with 170 million people, the per capita GDP is very low still. People's earning capacity is low. And
even with the rebasing?
Probably you, the media with nice suits and so on, maybe earning something huge. The man in the street is not really jubilating. So the point is, if you're not careful, as economies develop, like we are developing, disparity, increases, widens. If you don't take care of closing that gap, if you don't engage that lower part, the economy will be growing, but the effect will be a bit uncomfortable.
One area that a lot of people seem to agree that can just jumpstart the economy from where it is now is power. Yes, we have these reforms going on in the sector. What do you think so far, from what you've seen and the impact it has made, or otherwise?
Power will remain a challenge as long as there's no huge investment into the power sector. Now you say that the government has invested trillions of dollars or billions of dollars. It was possible. I think all previous efforts, and I am serious, were targeted towards procurement. Yeah, so until we move away from procurement and go through addressing the issues.
Procurement of...
Just procurement contracts.
So they just, at the moment, as the former Minister of Power, Barton, said, they invested to procure.
Absolutely.
So now they need to invest for...
The turbine in Omoto Show took so long to move to that location because in procuring the turbine, nobody thought of moving it to Omoto Show. You get the point. So, I mean, there needs to be sincerity of purpose. There needs to be true political will to really provide power. I'll just take one sector as an example. Take the distribution sector. It needs huge investments. So when you sell that sector to somebody and expects that he's going to make any impact, I think it will be a tall order. Actually, anybody who buys any of the distribution companies will need a lot of support because the infrastructure is weak, the commercials are weak, and the culture by even Nigerians to consume power is totally warped. So it's a sector that would require serious attention. Government should have declared an emergency in that sector and become deliberate about it. I know there are efforts, set up a certain technical committee, do this and that, do the NIPP. That's fine. I mean, there are efforts. But why has there not been much progress? When I was a minister, we were aspiring to get 4,000 megawatts. 12 years after, we're still around 4,000 megawatts. And we're spending money. So what is wrong? What is wrong? What is going wrong? What is happening?
When you were a minister, what efforts were made to ensure that we attained the 12,000 megawatts? Because that was when we attained it there.
Yes.
I'm not sure we'll be chasing after 4,000 again.
We're still around 4,000.
That's what I'm saying. Did you attain the 4,000
yes,
when you were minister?
We did. That's when the IPP issue started. That's when unbundling issue started. To unbundle generation, distribution, transmission, make them independent, encourage people to invest in that. But at that time, we were just trying to develop the legal framework because nobody will come and put his money without the necessary legal framework.
Did you also provide the platform for them to move beyond procurement to actual investment in the structure?
You have to remove the whole thing from the public sector.
The whole thing.
Well, I mean,
Because
when I say the whole thing, I
Okay.
mean the actual management, the actual running, the actual government can intervene once in a while as a responsible, lead in the country. But that kind of intervention should be purely to support, the operators in the sector.